Hey everyone, Sleepy Reader here with a bit of a haul video. But I want to start with a random act of kindness that I received. I don't know, what was it, back on Friday, I think? I got home and there was a package in the mail. It was from a certain Terrence in Canada, Kkrakk by his better known name, not better name. And I opened it up. And it was a complete random act of kindness because I had no idea he was sending this. And it contained a number of comic book related items, starting with this copy of Comic Book Confidential, the documentary on artists. I think maybe artists and writers, but mostly focusing on artists. I want to say this came out, 1988. I was going to say 1990. But so it has a lot of the, what you might call the usual suspects of the time, like Will Eisner and Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. But then a lot of cool people like Charles Burns. Cool people meaning cool newer people, more at the fringes of things. Charles Burns and Linda Barry and Robert Crumb. So anyway, I really look forward to watching this very soon. And that was awesome of him to send me. But not only did he send me that, he sent me several stacks. I'll start with the smallest one. Several stacks of trading cards, art trading cards, you might call them. Little art galleries in your hand. He's already sent me some, and now he sent me some more. And I love these, like I said, because it's like an art gallery in your hand. These are Jeffrey Jones. These are Jeffrey Jones trading cards. Definitely an artist I want to explore some more, and he'll come up later in another part of my haul. And I know there's a documentary about him, and he became a she, and then eventually committed suicide. And kind of had faded from the art scene, but I guess was still doing a lot of art. But anyway, so I want to find out more about him, her. I need to find out the name of that. Oh, this is like a master list. So I probably want to look for more Jeffrey Jones cards if they are available. He just had a very distinct style that was unlike anyone else's. Kind of something out of dreams, I would say. And then there's some random superhero cards, Superman, Batman. I can't show you every card I've got. So that was the first little stack. And then there were two huge stacks. And one of them, it took me a minute. The art looked really familiar, but I couldn't figure out who it was. If anyone out there can guess this artist, I'll be very impressed. But he was a very well-known and popular science fiction illustrator since the 80s, maybe even, I think since the 80s, maybe the very early 80s or the late 70s, and known for his creating lots of aliens. His name is Wayne Barlowe, and yeah, and amongst other things, he's also written a novel called God's Demon, which is actually about the politics in hell between all the fallen angels and the lesser demons and other beings in hell. So that was very cool. But I mean, the Wayne Barlowe stuff goes on and on here. There's so much Wayne Barlowe. So you get the general idea. Very cool. Oh, I like that one. So I don't know if these are spares or perhaps Terrence figured I was more into Wayne Barlowe than he was. I'm not sure. I'm sure he'll tell me later. But this is just awesome. Terrence is a great YouTube friend of mine. We've known each other for a long time on YouTube, and I don't need to get gifts from him, but it's awesome when I do. And then finally, another ginormous stack of cards, which turn out to be, I Can't even hold it this way. Frank Frazetta cards. I never even saw that Frank Frazetta painting before. So we've got all kinds of Frank Frazetta stuff here. Like a veritable Frank Frazetta museum in my hands. Almost like a Saturday morning cartoon, but with a certain Frazetta touch to it. So, whoops, all of this stuff is awesome. I don't know if I can get the iPad to focus on things at different distances. So, yeah, you get the idea. Let's see, let me just grab from the middle of the pile for a few, just so you can see some other stuff. But, so, Terrence, you are the man. This is really great. Great surprise. Stuff I don't have. I have a few Frazetta trading cards. Probably, you know, culled from a few packs that I bought in the 90s. But none of them include any of this artwork, actually. Oh, that's weird. That must be for some commercial art he did. Yeah, so you got the idea. Lots of cards. He also sent me some never opened sets from Batman the Animated Series. I plan to open these with my daughter at some point. So that was kind of the beginning of my weekend, and then maybe those even came in, I don't know if they came in Thursday or Friday. And then over the weekend I went to 2 different comic book shops and had a great time at both of them. One gets a lot of indie comics in my shop. You know, I missed stuff at my shop, so I picked up some indie comics that had been hard to get through my shop. I forgot to put, I assumed my shop was going to get Shaolin Cowboy, but they didn't, so I hadn't put it on my pull list. I was a little, I didn't quite want to put it on my pull list yet because the last Shaolin Cowboy series was just one long giant fight with a bunch of naked zombies with no dialogue or anything, which was kind of very cool, but also a little on the tedious side. But I am so glad I found a copy of this because it was hilarious. And Jeff Darrow not only, you know, is an amazing artist, but he has a sense of humor like no one else. I mean, it was just, the whole issue was just so funny and so weird. I recommend it to anybody out there who likes the sound of funny and weird and intensely detailed art. This won't let you down. It was $3.99, but 29 pages of continuity. So I just loved it. So I'm so glad I found it. I'm gonna make sure it gets on my pull list. I don't know how many issues it is. I don't think it says, it just says number 1. So yeah, if you're a Jeff Darrow fan, this is definitely one to get. And if you're curious about Jeff Darrow and want to try him out, I think this is a good starting point. You know, the continuity of the Shaolin Cowboy is not important. You can just jump in. Then I kept hearing people mention Grass Kings, and I had no idea what it was. Somehow I missed hearing anyone's description of it. It's written by Matt Kint and art by Tyler Jenkins, so I was able to find the first 2 issues, and I read them. I loved the art. It was a kind of a unique idea for a story. I didn't find the story so far that gripping. I didn't find myself relating to the characters at all. So I'm not sure if I'll continue to pick it up. But amazing art, which makes it very tempting. And you know, in a paperback trade, it's not going to be like this. And it's on these really great cardstock kind of paper. So it's, if I want it, it's probably much better to get in the single issues, I'm guessing. Oops. But I guess it's basically, I mean, they try to connect the history of the land, but it's basically takes place in the modern day, but some people who've like created their own little kingdom by this lake where they don't obey anyone else's laws and they just have their own world. But the sheriff from the town next door is sending in people to cause trouble. And there's other issues going on, like missing children and stuff. So that sounds really cool. I just didn't get that into it. although I really enjoyed the art. So we'll see. And then this one sounded really cool to me, and I saw it at the store, so and it hadn't been in my store. World Reader from Aftershock, from creators I don't know anything about, Jeff Loveness and Juan Doe. And it's about this person who can sense basically the past of these worlds, but there's no life left on any of the worlds that humans are finding. And that should be right up my alley, but I really did not dig this very much. It didn't seem that well put together. And at $4 an issue, I think I'll pass for now. If I hear that it gets really good, I can always jump on. So all of those I've already read. And then I also picked up issue 2 of Die Kitty Die by Dan Parent. So this is his adult comic, and he's a well-known traditional kind of Archie writer and artist. So I'm sure I can just jump in on issue 2. I'd heard rumors of this comic, but not seen it anywhere. And the same store, which has a lot of, excuse me a second, I was just noticing something out of order. A lot of $1 boxes, a lot of it is indie and DC and Marvel comics from the last 5 or 6 years, I guess. And they had these 5 issues of Brides of Helheim. So I got those. I really should get anything by Joelle Jones, and I'm not sure why I didn't continue. I read the original Helheim, and I'm not sure why I didn't continue buying this at the time. Maybe money was a factor. But now it was $1 a piece, so I got first 5 issues. I have a feeling maybe it's a 6-issue series, so I have one more issue to find. And there's some other stuff I got from those $1 boxes that I don't have on me right now. A Lois Lane one-shot, and then some old 80s or early 90s Superman annuals. Okay, then the next day I went to a comic shop in Vancouver, Washington, which is across the river from me, and to this place called I Like Comics that has a lot of stuff that's priced really nicely. And I bought entirely magazine-sized comics for $3 a piece. And I started with Conan Saga. And there, $3 a piece may have just been what I should have paid, or maybe even a little less. Whoops, I knocked down the Lego. But I wanted them, and I got issues 2 through 9, so I'm just missing issue 1 to own the reprints of all of the Barry Smith Conan. So each of these reprints several Barry Smith Conan stories in black and white, but in large size. And I love this period of Conan, and it's really enjoyable to look at the art in black and white. And it's great, as I've probably mentioned elsewhere, to watch Barry Smith's art style evolve. And the covers have newer Barry Smith art on them. There's Conan climbing up the Tower of the Elephant, I guess. So, yeah, and in this one, I think it's in this one, yeah, it almost looks like this one has an issue reprinted from the pencils, or maybe from the original artboard that is inked. It's hard for me to tell if those are darkened pencils or actual inks. It somehow looks different than the other stuff, and you can see the notes on the sides that Barry Smith must have left for the writer. It does have the lettering on it, so maybe it is the inked work. I'm gonna have to investigate this a little further. It definitely has a more raw look to it. Like you can even see where the lines of the panels overlap and stuff. So, and then just for the covers, the Barry Smith covers alone, these are worth it for me, the later Barry Smith style. I guess this may be what you would call middle Barry Smith, because then later he simplified his style again, but in a more elegant, poetic looking way than in his earliest work. But so in some of these, they have a sketch on the back. And so that this is like some pencil rough by Barry Smith. And then that turns out to be the pencil rough for the next issue's cover. So maybe this is what he handed in to the editor for approval. And then when he got approval, he did the finished work. That's just my guess. There could be some other explanation for this. Maybe he just did a rough sketch and he saved it and they reprinted it in the book. You know, it's definitely not quite the same as the final cover, but very interesting. Almost looks more like Neil Adams when you look at the sketch. So each issue has the sketch for the next issue. So there we go with that. We got this issue. So now I really want to get Conan Saga #1 to have the complete 9-issue set of all of Barry Smith's work. It's hard to see in this sketch, but there he is in the tree there, and there's the final version, which is very colorful. Barry Smith, I assume, colored his own drawings at this point because they were pretty unique. Oh, but that one does not have a sketch on it. It has an ad. So maybe it was just a brief while where they were doing that. That's a really cool cover. And by here, you know, the Smith art is getting more and more detailed, more and more exotic looking. That one has an ad on the back of it too. And the final issue of these, I mean, Conan Saga went on to, I think, mostly reproduce stuff from Savage Sword of Conan, I think. But the final issue that contains Barry Smith art has the full-length red nails in black and white, which I think is probably the way it should be read. I have several different color versions of this. One in a hardback Dark Horse collection, one in a Marvel Treasury edition, but here's the actual black and white. And this may be the peak of Barry Smith's Conan work. Oh, and issue 8 has the last color Conan one he did, the Song of Red Sonja, and then it has the first John Buscema Conan, and then after that it has a kind of a random later issue of Conan that happened to have been drawn by Neil Adams. So for me, that's really nice to have that in a black and white version too, to really take in and absorb. So those were my Conan sagas, and I was quite pleased to get those. And if I haven't already mentioned it, you know, a tip of the hat to Ed and Nick One, who pointed out that this is a good thing, Conan thing to collect. And then another thing that I have been meaning to collect more of, and eventually all of them, is Epic magazine. And this was Marvel's answer to Heavy Metal magazine. I guess it probably started in 1980 or 81. This is one of the early issues. They're not numbered on the covers. This is the December 81 issue. And let's see. And I'm not sure what these really should go for, but they were all $3, and that seemed like a really good price to me, so I just bought every one they had there that I didn't already have, and I think I bought a total of 16 epics on Sunday. I think it was Sunday I did it. So, and I've unbagged some of them, but not all of them. And Epic, I think I've said elsewhere, I'm repeating myself, was kind of an interesting mix of more mainstream Marvel-ish stuff and then some more underground, occasional bits of underground or just very indie kind of work. Many of these issues have stuff by Van Bode, who was an underground comic book artist of the 60s and early 70s. They must have been reprinting work of his or printing previously unpublished work. Anyway, so here is the issue from August 1982, You can see the $3 price tag there. That's one of the ones that I have not unwrapped yet. They all seem in pretty good shape to me. No real problems, you know, a little yellowed around the edges, maybe occasional scuffs, but other than that, in great shape. So maybe some people could find them for even cheaper than $3 a piece, but to me, it was well worth grabbing. There's another Barry Windsor Smith cover in his full-on pre-Raphaelite mode. I'm not sure who that cover's by. This one I see has Abraxas and the Earthman, some Pepe Moreno. I've been looking at Pepe Moreno in some of the ones I've opened, and I wonder if he was like the closest they could find to Mobius that they could get. He has definitely a more European look to his work. Some John Bolton. John Bolton was this really cool, he either did painted art or he did airbrushed art in comics, depending whether it's black and white or color. That might be John Bolton there in the black and white mode. I'm pretty sure it is. He often teamed up with Chris Claremont. So, yeah. I love these. I love these. I had a lot of them back in the early 80s, and I have no idea what I did with them. But, you know, I can remember giving away certain comics, but I don't remember giving these away. I don't remember storing them at my parents and having them disappear. I just don't know what happened to them. There we go. Van Bode's yellow, Vaughn Bode's yellow hat. Let's see if I can find him. I don't think he's so well remembered anymore, but he was a big star at one point. There it is. Looks like almost like he was doing a daily comic strip or something. Yeah, I think his main character was like called Cheech Wizard or something. It was this guy with the hat on and legs. But notable to me, fanboy that I am, is that this is a Jim Steranko cover, which you don't see too often. He just seems to pop up every once in a while, coming back to comics to do a cover. And this looks kind of like his Conan-like character called Talon. I don't think there's anything on the inside by him. They do mention Jeffrey Jones in here and Barry Windsor Smith. These comics were mostly about the art. At least people were buying them for the art. There might have been good writing in here. I'd have to reread it to see. But it was all about what artists you could get in here. And certainly spectacular art. Who is that artist? And can I get my wife that bikini? It's not Mike Kaluta, but I guess Mike Kaluta's in there. I'm going to take these away. Here is a Jeffrey Jones cover. A not scantily clad woman, but a very unusual looking one. Jeffrey Jones just had a different take on things. And some of these contain portions of the last Galactus story by John Byrne and Terry Austin, you know, which think of that being mixed in with some of that underground stuff. So now we are in 1984. It was bi-monthly, so you can kind of order these things by looking at the months and skipping months. That almost looks like a Wayne Barlowe painting, but that is actually a Bernie Wrightson painting, which is very interesting. I see them advertising Jim Starlin, Jeffrey Jones, John Muth, and Bernie Wrightson in this issue. So all about the artists. Think now how the writer is always listed first and sometimes in bigger letters than the artist, and here almost never mention the artist, although, I mean the writer. Although here maybe with this issue, final chapter, Van Bode's Cobalt 60 by Mark Bode, so that's probably his brother. I am farting. I don't know if you can hear that. And Larry Todd. What have I been eating to make me fart uncontrollably? Okay, last few issues. I I really like this cover. Now, if I only could get my wife to wear that. Somehow, even though she's totally scantily clad, it feels more tasteful to me than some of the booby covers that came later. Beautiful painting, beautiful colors. Here's I don't really like this artist style, but he looks really familiar. I wonder if he did more work for heavy metal. That's a very distinctive art style there. Phil Hale, I think. So anyway, that's the last one I have from December 1985. And I think it's the second to last one. So maybe the last one was February 86. I'll have to look that up. But it looked, when I entered these into my CLZ app, it looked like the second to last one. So yeah, I'm really excited to dig into Epic some more. Thanks again to Kkrakk. If you made it to the end of this haul, big thumbs up to you. Whoops, I can't get my hand in the picture. Big thumbs up to you. And remember, I am going to do a Q&A for my 5th anniversary on YouTube. And so I'll be beginning my 6th year on YouTube. So my 5th anniversary is this Friday. So if you have any questions for me, and you haven't already put them in the comments of the other video, you can put them in the comments of this video, and I'll gather together all the questions. And I've already got a lot, so I may make a 2 or 3 part video out of it. For a while I was thinking of doing a live video, but I'm not sure if I can pull that off. I don't know if I have the solo live skills that some people like Ress does, or the Great Legend. But anyway, still having fun with comics. Talk to you all later.